This game here is Shadow Arts. It's a 2D fighter maker game. It's kind of obscure, and it's themed around hardware and software. This character on the left here is Shiori. She is the reason this video exists. That's because when I was running down the characters, as I usually do in these types of games, I saw that this fireball existed. It's got 3 set ranges. And this lightning special existed, and it had 3 set ranges. And also, there's this universal unblockable projectile. I saw this, and I went, oh, she's kind of going to be a setup character, or like an NRS zoner, I think. And my immediate next thought was, what do I even mean by that? What do I mean when I think NRS zoner? It's a zoner, obviously, but what type? Hence this video. So let's get into it. When I say NRS zoner, I don't really mean zoner in an NRS game. I am more talking about a style of zoner that is most commonly appearing in NRS games, and therefore is a bit more associated with them. I'll get to what exactly that style is in my head later. First, I would like to kind of walk through the broader archetype in order to show how I think these styles of characters fit into it. To start, I would kind of like to define zoner as I am using it here, which is that it is a character that sits at long range, whittles away at your opponent, and then attempts to force an approach to punish it. This can broadly be divided into 2 different archetypes. Up first is the, for this video, less relevant style of zoner, normal zoner. These are characters that have big normals, stuff like this and this and this. This here is Amerta from Wild Disaster. She is an example of this. Other examples would be Dalsim or Axolo from Street Fighter and Guilty Gear, respectively. Sometimes these characters do have specials they can use, or supers, something like this, where they can do something like that. This game has an absurd power level, so all of her tools are stupid. But you get the idea. This game here is Requiem, and this character on the left, the one that's walking, is Kiri. She is an example of the second style of zoner, which I would say is special-based zoners. This does include fireball zoners, which are the most common type of them. She's a really good example because she is a charge character, so you have to charge, and this is what makes them different from normal zoners, really, is mechanical stuff like this. An input is a mechanical thing. How the fireball or tool for zoning or whatever it is works with the systems is what makes the 2 archetypes different, because generally normals and specials will be treated differently. In case it's not obvious, this is the archetype I think this style of zoner, the quote-unquote NRS zoner, falls into. This here is JP from Street Fighter 6. He is the secondary catalyst for this because around launch people were describing him as an NRS zoner, and I remembered that. I think he fits the category, and I think there's 2 main reasons for this. The first is Portal. The second is Spike. These are both moves that go to a set chosen position, except for EX Spike, which is hard, and then activate there, either roughly instantly or after a delay. These are the moves I think make him an NRS zoner, and you can contrast those with his other zoning tool, his Fireball. These moves happen at a position that is set and do not have travel time. This changes matchups and changes how the character zones. This is the type of move that I think defines the style. It's an attack that has a position. Sometimes it's delayed, sometimes it's not. You use that to zone. This here's an example of another one. This is Quan Chi. He is from an actual NRS game. He's got this Summoner Quan Chi, so he's got all of his bat moves. But again, he's got this move. That is what I think makes him fall into this style of zoner. Now, this is an aggressive game, so he's not the best example, but I couldn't get MK11 to work on my PC to show off Cetrion, so this is what there is. Not every NRS zoner really falls into this category. RoboCop from MK11, for example, wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, Cetrion, I probably would. Zod from Injustice 1, somewhere on the edge. Martian Manhunter also probably fits, but I think that character can do just about everything, so I don't think that's a good example either. If you want this into a sentence, I would say that the quote unquote NRS zoner archetype is a style of special based zoner closely related to fireball zoners. What differs between them is that they have some sort of zoning tool that activates at a position instead of acting like a conventional fireball. This gives them an advantage in counter zoning, as well as changes how they zone. Is this definition perhaps a little too broad? Absolutely yes. I'm not entirely happy with it. I'm not entirely sure how I would narrow it down without excluding characters that I think would fit into the archetype. I am willing to go to bat for this. I think this is a fairly solid definition, though, for a pretty broad group of characters sharing the same archetype. You could maybe break it down a little more than this, probably based on how different characters use their tools, but that is extremely contextual to the game, which is not the most helpful when you're trying to construct a broader archetype. If you disagree with my classification, I would like to know why. I'm curious as to what your reason will be. Let me know somehow.